Welcome to the Snap UK podcast, your home for the NFL news, views and opinions you need on this side of the pond. With me today at Chateau Green, I have a nearly full house. John, Jim, Gary, say hello.
Hello.
Hello, gents.
Sadly, no Paul. He is watching some brownies do something. I mean, honestly, I didn't think his tag let him do that, but apparently that's what he's doing, swearing in some kids.
I heard it was his go on Gary's 10 grand mattress.
Well, by the sounds of what I heard earlier, Gary's not having any goes with his 10 grand mattress. So that seems perfectly fair.
Feedback is a gift.
How was your golfing trip?
Messy golf, messy drinking. It took me a week. Sorry I wasn't here last week.
All right, no problem. Don't forget to check out the website, thesnappodcast.com, and join in with the discussion and debates on Twitter.
At the Snap UK.
One day.
It's our
One
fucking
day.
name.
I know.
Every week.
It's not difficult.
Week 6, it's because I have never changed a little bit in brackets here. Week 6 presented us with a great rematch of the two of the AFC's most dominant powers. A huge upset win for a franchise finally on the up, and further proof that Nathaniel Hackett can't. We also had another Thursday night stinker. Skip to the end of the show if you're the Bears or Commanders fan. The Lions, Texans, Raiders, and Tetons.
I'd just skip the end of the show.
The season. I'd skip the season.
Lions, Texans, Raiders, and Tetons on a bye.
Just skip into the sea.
14 games to get to. Last week, I started the show with an apology to Brian Dable. This week, I'm starting the show with an apology to Paul in his absence. And also to Salah and sort of to Zach Wilson, though I'm still reserving judgment a little bit. But the Jets overpowered the Packers 27-10 on Sunday, frequently pressuring Rodgers, who was sacked 4 times, and inflicting back-to-back home defeats on Green Bay for the first time since the Rodgerless team of mid-2017. The Jets are flying, Packers are struggling. 2022, what gives? The Jets D getting it together in a big spot here.
Is the Jets D Zach Wilson? Because we've all heard about little Shagger.
We do know about Shagger Wilson. This was as impressive as it gets for the Jets if you want to know whether they're real or not, right?
Yeah. I think we all said the Packers would probably win this game coming off the back of a disappointing defeat to the Giants the week before in London, but they're still in London.
Which Packers player was it who said after the game in London, don't worry, we'll be all right as long as we don't lose to the Jets? One of the defensive players said that.
Shit.
And apparently is now in the shit with Aaron Rodgers.
What happened to the bye after the London games?
It's optional.
It's optional.
I don't have to take it.
I think regretting that now.
Well, yeah, I think because they had such an early game in London, they obviously
Well, you say that, but
Work for
we'll
the
get to
Giants.
New York. Yeah, they didn't take their bye either.
Yeah.
So the problem is not the bye, the travelling. It's the fact that Aaron Rodgers is not playing well and the team have not got it together.
Wasn't it 3-3 at half-time, this one?
It was horrendous.
It was
It was like a Thursday night game.
That's the thing that worries me about this Green Bay team at the moment. There's no, like, in the second half, in 2 weeks running against, at best, middling teams, they have absolutely fallen off cliffs, and Rodgers just looks defeated.
I was going to say, where's the leadership in this team? I said
Well,
it last
you know,
week.
we've
That
known
game
it for
against
years.
Giants just didn't look like he was interested. And I didn't see much of this game against the Jets, but I'm guessing he didn't look interested because they only scored 7 points in the second half.
Went out, didn't he, injured, which doesn't help them. You know, a couple of nice throws to Lazard, but apart from that, he just doesn't trust anybody, does he?
Doesn't.
You know?
Yeah.
And then they can just stifle the run game. But that defense at the Jets
It's good.
looks very
Quinton
good.
Williams was
Yeah.
superb.
Both the
Field goal block was
Williamses.
brilliant.
Yeah, they had a blocked field goal and a blocked punt return for a touchdown.
Yep.
First team to do that, I think, for 12 years.
Was it the Patriots?
I don't know.
Sounds like something the Patriots would have done.
It would have done back in the day.
Yeah.
I think the issue here, on the whole, is for the last or 2 of the last 3 years, they've only lost 3 games all season. They've already lost 3 this year, and you're looking at this team and thinking,
2 of those are at home as well.
yeah, Rodgers plus what equals winning games, and there isn't a lot. Like,
Well, he took too much money.
well,
So when will they learn?
never is the answer.
That's why Brady has got all the rings, because he made sure his defense and his O-line was always good. And everything else could be worked out. Lose one wide receiver, get another wide receiver. You know.
And yet Aaron Rodgers can't do that with this bunch of young wide receivers. It's not working. And now Randall Cobb.
O-line's not great.
Randall Cobb is out for multiple weeks. with this ankle injury, and he looked
bad.
On the cart.
Wasn't he in tears?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which usually means they think their season's over.
Yeah.
But apparently not. But it's multiple weeks is all they've said.
If his season's over, his career's over as well. That's
Beautiful.
So it should be. He's not exactly, a standout player. But I cannot point to one thing and say, if Green Bay correct this, then it will be better. Like, they look a mess.
It's one of those old adages, isn't it, that, confidence and momentum in sport is such a huge thing. And, the Jets are building the Giants, I'm sure we'll come on to. Like, once you're playing well, you just keep going, don't you? But as soon as it stops, you got to work out what's going wrong. You got to go and do stuff that's totally different. You got to really challenge people, and it changes everything. So I think it is an issue.
I think that one of the things that Rodgers said in his post-match interview was that they've got to simplify the playbook, and I think that's a fair point from Rodgers, because if you have got a cast of young receivers, relatively kind of inexperienced offensive linemen, you can't have the same playbook that you had with Devontae Adams and other kind of senior wide receivers. You have to simplify it, because you have to build their confidence, give them enough so they can actually make plays, but not so much that it's just going to confuse them. Like, it takes time to develop that chemistry. It takes time to learn the full playbook. Matt LaFleur is from that kind of Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan system. They have got complicated playbooks. There's no secret about that. So yeah, maybe Rodgers has a point. It's like, okay, we've got to go back to basics a little bit. Let's just get some pass plays going, instead of going for the big pass all the time or some sort of trickery play. Let's just run a 10-yard slant, get the ball into someone's hand, and get a first down, and then get another first down, and then get another first down. Not it's touchdown from the fourth play or whatever it might be.
I think we're just learning just how good Devontae Adams was as well. Like no matter what happens, he was always free. Like, his movement, separation is so astounding, and he basically Aaron Rodgers should be sending two of his MVPs his way, quite frankly, because that's the only reason he's got them.
I think that's fair.
He must think it's criminal he's left.
But he signed a contract and then Devontae Adams left, didn't he? And you just got to wonder what was said behind the scenes at that point. Like, and especially,
I imagine that's when he went off to Peru to get to get that ayahuasca or something. And I imagine this off season, Peru's just going to be there for fucking months trying to get over this season.
Let's not take away from the Jets' defense. So you mentioned Quinn Williams, Sauce Gardner, defensive rookie of the year so far.
He's the standout.
Like, I don't think there's many others that kind of touch him. He's playing brilliant football and looks like, what was he, third overall pick? Looks like he should be a third overall pick. Jeff Okudah was a third overall pick as well.
Yeah.
Difference between those two.
I liked him leaving the. Did you see him leaving the field with the
cheese head? Alan Lazard coming knocked off. Here's the quote from Aaron Rodgers that I think is important. We've got to be realistic of where we're at. We've played a couple of subpar games the last two, and we've got to play better. But wobbly, only if people start breaking rank. So what he is saying is, unite behind me. The problem is, I don't think he's the sort of person that you do unite behind. He never has been. He's always carried the team, and now he's not. And that's a struggle. They're not getting the best out of Jones.
No.
What did he have, 19 yards?
Because they know that's what they're going to try.
But
they haven't got double coverage anybody on that team. That's the thing. That in the secondary, they don't have to double coverage a single person. So then you can just match up man to man. So then you can leave an extra person, near the line.
Do have some good news for the Packers, though. They've got the Commanders next week.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time to play the Commanders as well.
If they lose that, we will not see Dunk for at least 6 months. I just won't show his face. If they lose to both New York teams and then
the
Washington,
Commanders,
like, he literally he'll probably just leave the NFL group.
Right, let's stick with New York then and discuss the Giants, who came from 10 points down with 13 minutes on the clock to knock off the Ravens 24-20, despite Baltimore rushing for 128 more yards and outgaining the Giants by 168 yards total. This was not on the back of Saquon. This was a whole team effort, despite the fact they were more or less outperformed in every department. ultimately, they put the right number of points on the board. We even had a Justin Tucker missed field goal.
The Ravens threw this away.
I was going to say, but
Yeah.
this is the third time now.
So they've only not led games for something like, I don't know, like
3
4
minutes.
minutes.
Coming
And
into
they've
this game, it was
lost 3
11
games
seconds.
or something.
Yeah.
11 seconds.
Yeah, it was 11 seconds coming in.
And they've lost 3 games now or something.
Yeah.
So, like, they just need to learn how to close the games out, don't they? Like,
Well, Giants have already got one more win than last year, and they've only won more than 7 games once in the last 10 years.
it's 12 years since both New York teams were this good at this time of the season.
Absolutely, which is crazy. But it does look like an amazing year. The Giants' D is real. It's really good. And is it Bellinger?
Yeah.
tight
Tight
end?
end.
Yeah, we didn't know who he was.
No,
we talked about it, didn't we, at the
not a
start of the
clue.
season?
Did
We were
not
like,
know who
we
it
were like,
was.
who's this bell ringer? Like,
Looks very good.
Sweetest player of the week last week. He probably have it again this week.
I don't know, Thibodeau's game-winning,
Yeah.
forced fumble.
But look, I mean, both New York teams, they've both solidifying the defensive line, and the offenses are doing just enough. It's the defenses that win these matches.
Yeah.
And Daboll's going mental on the sidelines, isn't he?
That's what you want to
Like,
see, isn't it?
Who doesn't love a jolly fat guy? Everyone loves a jolly fat guy, don't they?
Yeah, I love it.
Like,
And I'm bracing myself because at some point it's all going to come crumbling down because I think Saquon's coming into this
he
week,
was a bit injured this week, wasn't he?
but it's fine. Like literally, we've got 5 wins. It's an improvement on last year. So like I say, we've got in Thibodeau. I think we've got an absolute star. Like as well. Like there's him and Gardner. I think I really like the characters of them. Like they're both. I think they'll bring the other people in the dressing room up to them. Like Thibodeau left the field crying because he got the the game winning fumble.
I do think they switched off the Ravens, and they've got to sort out what that's all about.
Well,
Because it's happening too much. Like
they lost the game on a botched snap, which Lamar caught and then
just dived on it.
and threw an interception. It's. But once again, we're not conceding many points, and we are doing enough, especially in the second half. Daboll does enough to change the game, and that is being able to change the game is huge because there's so many coaches that are, if Plan A doesn't work, we'll do Plan A.
Hack it.
Yeah.
Daboll's doing a brilliant job of adjusting. Daniel Jones is doing a brilliant job of Alex Smithing the games. He had a fumble, but only because it was right at half time. They basically asked him to run around and do something to see what happened, and he got just smashed from behind, which fair enough. But other than that, he's been relatively mistake-free.
I've done so badly in my first go at an auction league this year. I decided to take Mariota out this week and give Daniel Jones a try. That backfired.
Yeah, it did not work
tremendously badly.
But here's the thing: the quarterback on the other team, Lamar Jackson's thrown 6 interceptions this season. There's only 2 players who've thrown more than that this year. This is the contract year for Lamar, and I think he's trying too hard. He is throwing the ball out there when there is very little hope of it actually being effective.
I think he's improved in the passing game, but he's not an elite level passer.
No, he's an elite level athlete.
Yeah,
but he's
exactly.
trying to be an elite level passer.
And both with him and Hurts, they've both improved in the passing game, but neither of them are going to sit in the pocket, scan the field, 2 or 3 times, and then kind of deliver a bullet like a Stafford or Matt Ryan.
He has the 3rd most touchdowns, but also the 3rd most interceptions.
Yeah.
Because I think
So he's a running Jameis Winston.
Well, yeah, he's rated as the 5th best quarterback in the league.
He's not Josh Allen, is he?
No, and this
And
is
if
the point.
you had to pick one to build your franchise around
Josh
now,
Allen.
Josh Allen, it wouldn't even be,
It's not even a
wouldn't even be
conversation.
Mahomes, would it?
But right now, if you're Baltimore, are you paying the money Lamar wants?
I think they will
I think you need to.
because he's good enough. He's good enough to win a ring.
And
I
you
agree.
you look at some of the other teams who have tried to bring in a star quarterback. It doesn't always work. Go with what you've got, especially because your team is built for him.
I think it does lessen the argument as such, and maybe it lessens the chances of getting 100% guaranteed contract. But you still, I think if you're Lamar Jackson, even if you have a mediocre campaign by Lamar Jackson standards, I still think you're going into that contract room saying 45 million, please.
Yeah.
By comparison, Daniel Jones is the third best quarterback this season with 2 interceptions.
They're not letting him pass the ball.
No,
they're running everything.
That's fine.
But that's fine.
He's only got 5 touchdowns, but he's game managing.
It's all fine until Saquon can't move.
Well, and that is the thing. But this game wasn't on his back. This was short passing and sensible defensive play, and it's going to win games for the Giants.
Look at this year. The players you'd associate with sort of exciting passing football. Only Josh Allen is sort of really living up to his billing. Like Patrick Mahomes.
Is that some sort of pun?
Well, no, but
The fact that we all had to stop and think.
Where's Paul when I need him? He'd have been right there.
But yeah, no, like there seems to be this year a bit of a change. It's a lot more conservative, and actually, I think a Jones more conservative Smith style game is really suiting
It's
the
the
league.
worst start for offences since 2012.
Yeah.
Speaking of Josh Allen, the biggest game of the weekend was reserved for Sunday afternoon, where last season's AFC Championship contenders met in a rematch. Bills at Chiefs, and Von Miller may have been the key here in a 24-20 win for Buffalo over the Chiefs. Tony Romo predicted the outcome very early on in this one, saying it would be a defensive slog. And the Bills probably secured home
Was that
advantage
after
here
it
for the
was
playoffs.
0-0 after the first quarter?
It was in the first quarter, yeah. He said this is going to be 24-20, and he predicted the correct score. It's always impressive with Romo. I like it. But the point is, Von Miller is a massive difference maker on this team. At, what is he, 32,
33.
Like, he came up so big in this game.
I think, again, it's building the defensive line, and that was a big thing for the Bills. Like, you think about this game in the AFC playoffs last year, the Bills needed a stop, and they didn't get it, and Chiefs went and won the game. They went out and they improved the defensive line, and I think I read into that, and Brandon being the general manager was like, we need to find a star who's going to get those big plays, and Von Miller was there.
One, it's big plays. Two, it's leadership, isn't it?
Exactly.
Niners, we took an ageing, very slow Richard Sherman into a young defensive locker room a few years ago for leadership, and so people could throw the ball straight over his head and cost us everything, take away our dreams. But, apart from that, it worked really well for 98% of the time. Von Miller's in a much better place than Richard Sherman was at that point, but he will lead that defense as a winner, a multiple winner.
They're also managing him very well. He's not playing 100% of the snaps all the time. I think he was averaging about 35, 36 snaps going into this game. He did play more in this game because this is a big game. That's
why he managed
He's a big game player, isn't he?
2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Like, that's massive.
And last year, their defense was just okay.
Yeah.
And now you're like, their defense is good.
Yeah. And they've still got injuries. They've got players to come back. Mika Hyde still needs to come back. Davius Ward still needs to come back as well. Like, it could get better. I think also shout out to Matt Milano, who never gets any shout outs, but he has been one of the best linebackers in the league. He was sideline to sideline on Sunday. Brilliant player.
Now, earlier on you said teams that are playing against the Packers know that they want to get the ball to Jones because it's not working for Rodgers and the receivers. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have a problem with his receivers, but why is Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the other chap whose name I can't pronounce?
Isaiah Pacheco.
That's the one. Why are they not getting anything going on the ground? Because this Chiefs team needs a ground game. Now you don't have Tyreek, you need a ground game.
Yeah.
Well, have they had a ground game since
Never had a
Hunt
ground
left?
game. Yeah.
No, not really. But this particular setup needs the ground game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I think Mahomes needs it. I think it would really take a lot of pressure off him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
He has to dance around so much because they need a big lad. They need like Fournette or something like that.
Something like that. Just
A Mark Ingram, that kind of player where they could just.
I think Pacheco could be that type of player. He's a big guy, but just inexperienced. But
Cam Akers.
yeah,
I think either one of these teams may benefit from signing Cam Akers, who is apparently looking to be traded from the
he's
Rams.
going to be traded.
He's gone apparently. Yeah.
I think he's an upgrade on Singletary, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, chap whose name I can't pronounce.
Yeah.
Pacheco.
That's the
It's
fella.
not difficult.
Zach Moss.
I know, but I can't.
Pacheco.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach Moss as well.
Zach Moss, yeah. Like, I don't think you take any of those
Don't get
players.
Kareem Hunt back.
He would love to leave the Browns.
Browns aren't
but
going to get rid of him.
No. But, yeah, Cam Akers got to be worth the roll of the dice for me.
Yeah.
He just isn't happy at the Rams. That's the biggest problem for him. I don't I mean, you can't say that it's definitely home advantage secured for the Bills. There's a huge amount of the season to go, but
The way that AFC East is at the moment, you just never know, do you?
well,
all
Four
AFC.
teams are doing something quite
I think the
interesting.
Bills are definitively the best
I
team
think, I think they are.
in the AFC.
But if they lose one or two more
Yeah,
games,
absolutely.
then suddenly it swings back to the Chiefs.
But it's the
doesn't
same for the Chiefs
Yeah.
in that they are going to, as we'll see, they're tied with the Chargers on top of this division. It's not like they're marching away with it now.
I think Bills they should be the number 1 seed in the AFC. But the Chargers, I think the Chargers will be a really tricky team. The Chargers, will come on to them, I'm sure, but Keenan Allen's still not back, So
We'll get on to the Chargers.
We should mention Travis Kelce, 8 receptions for 108 yards. He is still tearing the league up. This is a week after his 4-touchdown game where he had 26 yards for 4 touchdowns, which is insane. He's just showing that he's an all-round receiver and comfortably right now the best tight end in the league.
yeah, him, Mark Andrews,
Yeah.
and
I'd put him above Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I would as well.
but those two,
Those two definitely.
Kittle needs to,
He needs
yeah.
more game time. And Waller, we said
Yeah.
before, we said last week or the week before.
Delaney Walker's finally retired as well.
I did see that
Yeah,
Delaney
that's-
Walker had finally retired. Yeah,
One more thing in this game, and I heard it on the commentary, and I think it was said in the moment, but it's like, I can think of a couple that would challenge it. Stefan Diggs, best wide receiver in the game at the moment.
what do you have, 140 yards?
148 yards.
Do you know what?
It's not. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely top 3, but I think there are
Might be-
Justin Jefferson.
Might be time to do our
I
annual
think
wide receiver
Jefferson
things.
is doing more with less at quarterback.
Yeah.
Fucking here we go.
Here we go.
Fucking hell, man.
No,
I
but
thought we were
that's
going
a fair point.
like they're like 4-1 or whatever, or 5-1, aren't they, the Vikings? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can't dick on Kirk Cousins already. He's not played enough prime time.
Sure, but would you
So you played one
take
for it.
Kirk Cousins or Josh
That's the
Allen?
one they lost, didn't it?
Kirk Cousins or Josh Allen? Which one are you taking?
As a
Josh
wide
Allen.
receiver?
As the best QB, which one will you take?
Josh Allen.
Right, thank you. So that's my point. I also think Jamar Chase is probably the best wide receiver in the league for me at the moment.
That's another good shout as well.
I suppose Diggs has done it over longer time.
Yeah, I was just
both
saying.
of those
I think it's like the commentator said.
You
You
could-
probably
you-
without thinking about it.
You could argue
Probably,
Cup
but-
is also the best wide receiver in the
could.
league.
It's
Maybe
really not
not
showing
Adams.
this
Yeah.
year as much as it.
Adams.
Although I saw coming into this weekend's games that Cooper Kupp had 51 receptions, which is the same as the total for the Bears wide receivers.
Figures. Justin Fields throws it like 10
Justin
times.
Fields, ridiculous.
Well, we'll get to it. Right, you know who's undefeated after 6 games? It's
The
John's
Eagles.
Super Bowl pick. The Eagles. Yeah,
Giants
absolutely.
fans picking the Eagles.
I know.
They're carving up teams, finally putting a stop to Cooper Rush's unlikely string of starts. He had 3 interceptions. There was a pair of touchdowns for Brown and Smith and 136 rushing yards as a team. It was very balanced. The Cowboys would have snatched your hand off for 4 wins without Dak, but they were second best all day in this one. They were 20-0 down.
Yeah, their stars didn't turn up.
They
Micah
really didn't.
Parsons didn't turn up. CeeDee Lamb didn't turn up.
Well, I saw a piece about how they got Micah Parsons out of the game, and basically they out-athleticed him. They allowed him to make the decision, and then Jalen Hurts, just ran past him or passed over him because he is athletic enough to react, which a lot of quarterbacks are not.
Yeah. When you look at especially in the running game, because Jalen Hurts, as an athletic quarterback, like what you'd see at like San Francisco or a thing where Jimmy would get you as quarterback, your running back will probably get 4 yards. The Eagles are getting 10, 11, 12 because there's so much confusion because the defense don't know, is he going to do it? Is he going to, is it play action? But it's brilliant. It is brilliant to watch. It's fascinating.
It's that half second of
Yeah,
indecisiveness.
that it just creates doubt, and they are punishing teams.
Do you know what? They've got... I think their running back as a committee is okay, but it's nothing special, is it? Let's be honest, and you just wait and see which one's going to be okay this week. But then you look at the rest of it, you've got good wide receivers, haven't you?
Yeah. Brown and Smith.
Two really
Goddard is a tight end.
Good tight end, good at blocking, and he brings something to the catching game. And their defense is turned up. What's really let them down the last couple of years is their defense. They've been shipping 30 points, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the defense is awesome. I think they made two. I think I've said it before. The two moves they made to solidify the backfield, bring in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Did I get that right?
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
And James Bradbury as well. Like, I think one of those had an interception this week.
Bradbury,
I think they're solid throughout the team. I think you said it last week, John. Like, even if someone goes down, there's
they're
really
deep.
good squad.
They're deep, really deep squad. And what other teams aren't, you look at even like we're gonna go into like the Chargers, like half their stars are missing. You ain't gonna get. It's gonna have to be a real issue in Philadelphia to get to a situation at the same level.
Quarterback goes, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Who's the backup?
Gardner-Minshew.
Totally different game.
They'll sail it. So Dak has announced that he's planning to play next week. If there are any doubts about his fitness, is this the end of Cooper Rush, or is this just a really good defense taking apart an inexperienced quarterback? Because I think he's been solid as the Cowboys starter, and most quarterbacks are going to struggle against this Eagles team.
There's no shame in going to Philadelphia and losing at the moment, because the Philadelphia Eagles are a good side. He's a backup quarterback. Okay, he had a really bad game, but there will be starting quarterbacks who've had bad games.
Oh, yeah. He ended the first half with a QBR of 1.
Yeah. But
I feel like I could do that.
There's been other quarterbacks that have been made to look stupid this year. I think, obviously his first 4 games, he's looked like Daniel Jones. He's looked solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not done anything spectacular. He's just not lost. He's not turned the ball over. This time he's turned the ball over 3 times against the defense, which we've just said is playing really, really well.
He's just added a couple of million to his backup thing wherever he ends up, and it'll probably be Dallas. But it's
probably
fine.
Will be, yeah.
Yeah, because they know they trust him.
Considering he started the season not on the squad.
Exactly. You compare it to.
I don't think that happens again.
The Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci days. Fucking hell.
Right. Tampa Bay travelled to Not Heinz Field to take on the Steelers in what many pegged as a surefire victory. But this isn't the Arians era Bucks. This team has only topped 20 points twice this season. They slipped to 3-3 as Kenny Pickett was replaced by Mr. Biscuit, and he was good enough to win the game.
See, I read this as Tom Brady got pegged by the Steelers defense. So obviously
that would explain an awful lot about his marriage breakup.
Well,
you see, he got trolled by some kid. Yeah, asking if he could have like Giselle's number or something like that. Just literally trolling him.
Was his name Zach? Who already follows her on Instagram.
If any other quarterback in the league stunk up the show for the weekend after going to his former boss's wedding and missing the day before's practice, would we be talking about that?
Well, especially after he ripped off his offensive line as if it was all their fault.
Yeah. Todd Bowles has said lots of players miss practices, but it only gets brought up because it's Tom.
That's a fair point.
And I don't, I'm sure
because I think it's because it's Robert Kraft's wedding as well.
If Tristan Wirfs was saying, "Can I have Friday off to go to my college coach's wedding?" I'm sure they'd go, "Do you know what? Fuck that," because we've got the the Steelers at the weekend.
Everyone, Tom Brady has every Wednesday off as well.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Somebody pointed out, I can't remember, one of the podcasts I was listening to, they were saying, you don't think Bill Belichick went to Robert Kraft's wedding?
No.
But Tom Brady did, and then lost the game. That's not okay.
Probably why Bill Belichick.
Yeah, the Bucs are struggling to put up points.
Yeah.
This is...
They've not looked convincing at all. They're a bad 3-3. That's such a thing.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a thing. Leonard Fournette had their only touchdown, I believe.
Yeah.
On a reception, of all things. But on the ground, 21 carries for 63 yards. That's not going to get anybody excited. Godwin led the way, 95 yards receiving. Mike Evans, 4 receptions for 42. But you just really feel like it's a different team. And I don't know whether it's the Tom Bowles coaching, the Tom Brady drop-off that we've been waiting for. I don't know. He was 25 of 40, 243 and a touchdown. It's not terrible.
That's a pretty decent number.
Yeah, but it's not enough to beat what isn't a good team. The Steelers go to 2-4. Kenny Pickett into the concussion protocol, and in comes Mitch Trubisky, still a team captain, still leading the way in the locker room by all accounts, and played comfortably his best half of the season.
I don't think Kenny Pickett's done enough to make you go, wow.
No,
he hasn't
he
done
really
much
hasn't.
at all. Last week,
11 for 18 for 67 yards.
last week he did nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
Do you see how many players attempted a run for the Steelers?
I think Mitch Trubisky.
Eight players attempted a run for the Steelers.
I think he's being harshly dealt with. I have to admit.
Same.
Like, he's done not much wrong. Like, the losses haven't really been on him. He hasn't been amazing. He hasn't been awful. Like, to get benched, and I get the crowd have been baying for it, but
the Steelers they're used to winning, aren't they? And Steelers crowd are used to winning. I think they're bringing in a quarterback who's not. You're right. He's not doing anything terrible, but nor is he doing anything.
They've got a problem with red zone offense.
Yeah.
They're moving the ball okay. They're not scoring points. Yeah. And Kenny Pickett's just looking for George Pickens all the time. Like, so they just put every defender on him. Their run game needs to do a bit more, but
Here's the thing. The reason Mitch Trubisky was dropped is because they weren't getting the ball down the field. That's what they said. Didn't have it. He was averaging 6.2 yards per pass attempt until he got to this game, where he averaged 12 yards per pass attempt. Yeah. He doubled his average and suddenly looked like a really competent
what's
player.
Kenny Pickett's average? About 5?
I don't have it.
It was 3.7.
3.7 in this game. And that's the thing. It's almost like Pickett's come out.
Halved it. How does that help?
Well, it's a strange scenario, and I would not be surprised if they keep Kenny Pickett off the field for the following week and let Mitch play. It's tricky. Trubisky also managed to get Chase Claypool back involved, who had not featured this season. He got his first touchdown. Like, that is the man you need to get to help this offense get going.
He was being rumoured as a trade option. Someone, notably the Packers, apparently.
Yeah, 7 receptions, 96 yards, and touchdown. And most of that production, almost all of it, came with Mitch Trubisky.
But do you know what? Like we've always said, the Steelers are brilliant at developing wide receivers, and they are. But the last few seasons, they developed wide receivers who've had one good season and then just dropped off. Like Chase Claypool sitting there, Deontay Johnson has been all right. Juju Smith-Schuster had a couple of seasons, but then dropped off. So I don't know, something. There's always been a doubt for me about that. I think Tomlin's a great manager and a great manager of the locker room, but there's always that doubt. Those egos are now starting to get a little bit bigger, a little bit too quickly. And after Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, I'm not sure Tomlin's as good as what he once was.
I'm impressed by the fact that they're managing to win regardless of who's under centre, but it feels like a lost season that they're just going to be hanging on the outside of where they usually would be, and it's going to make the fan base restless because they're going to think, why aren't we that one step better?
Because TJ Watt's not there.
Yeah.
That is
That's
the first time the defence has turned up since he was injured. So other players finally stood up a bit. If the defence can keep them competitive, Mitch Trubisky is not the worst quarterback in the league. And in that division's not the best.
On the showings of what you've seen, if I said pick one of the two quarterbacks for the next 6 games...
Trubisky, in a heartbeat.
Trubisky.
Yeah, I'll probably go Trubisky.
And me as well. So we all thought it was Pickett time, but he's not ready. Then get Trubisky back in.
Sometimes it's a good thing, actually, when you drop a rookie in and they play a couple of games and they realise they're not quite at the level.
Especially,
and you drop them back out and then you can bring them back in again.
Well, especially because he's out because he got injured. He's not out because he wouldn't have been dropped. I don't think they'd have done that. But this is a good excuse to give him another 6-game break or something. Right. The Steelers' victory moved them to 2-4 and level with the Browns in the division. The Browns themselves thumped 38-15 by the Patriots as Bill Belichick moved tied with George Halas, but within one win of breaking that for second overall, and they'll be behind Shula.
Yep.
Do you know where he could break it?
Against the Bears on Monday Night Football next week. And Monday Night Football has been pretty pap recently. So
this week was the first really bad Monday Night Football.
They've been okay.
The Thursday night games have been
much worse.
Anything featuring Denver.
Yeah, there's been too much.
They've had 4 primetime games.
Primetime games. It's just been
2 more as well.
Let me get this line out.
Yeah.
Zap was laser focused on Sunday, and the Browns far less so.
Zappy.
I know, but it's a stupid name. Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi.
Let's go with that. I always thought because it was Brissett under centre, the Patriots would know how to win this game, and they absolutely tied him in knots. He threw 2 interceptions, barely moved the ball, but they also kept the ground game dead quiet. for the Browns, and you can't have both of those things happen and win games. I think that everyone was pleasantly surprised by how well the Browns played early in the season. Without Deshaun Watson, everyone was happy to sort of see them playing okay, that's fine, before it comes back. But they've not managed to finish games.
Jacoby Brissett is doing nothing that shocks me at the moment, and he's playing like I expected Geno Smith to play.
Yeah.
Like just to start off pretty decent, everyone figure him out, and it go downhill. Now, to be fair to Geno Smith, he's kept that run going. Jacoby Brissett is just like, all right, everyone's just figured him out. Bill Belichick was easy to figure out, and he's good enough to figure out how to stop a running game.
Myles Garrett did get another sack. Have the most sacks of any Browns player ever now.
Yeah. Is it 63? 62 and a half?
So they got one first-round pick right in the last decade.
The Patriots managed to win this game without Damian Harris, who was out injured. Ramondre Stevenson, 19 carries, 76 yards. He also had 4 receptions for 15 yards. He was brilliant in this game, taking the pressure off Zapay. But
can we talk about Zapay? Come on.
Well, so you guys are going to ask me if there should be a quarterback controversy, right?
It's the natural next question after he's 24 for 34, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
And won his first 2 starts.
It's New England.
Have you basically gone and got yourself 3 Brian Hoyers?
It's entirely possible. I would.
But are they 3 Jimmy G's? Are they 3 Brian Hoyers? Or is one of them actually good enough? Because I'm not convinced that any of them are going to be good enough to ever win a ring. So what's the
certainly
point?
Not
what's the point of it?
Here's the thing. I would say Mac Jones is clearly the best processor of the game out of the 3. However, he doesn't have the physical tools.
Yeah.
Bailey Zapay appears to be
through
physically
60-odd touchdowns in college.
Yeah, 67 touchdowns. He appears to be physically more gifted, but he's far too raw to process the game. Bearing in mind, this Browns team is not good. The Browns defense has not showed up. So this is not the game to judge him on. Also, we've had...
So are you more excited about Zapay
than Mac Jones?
Yeah.
I'm more excited to watch him, but I think overall you win more games with Mac Jones. It's just that...
That's why you prefer Jimmy G over Trey Lance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what I was setting him up for?
Yeah, it's absolutely the case. So one's
got a bigger ceiling, but the other one might keep you a win now. Tell you Patriots,
bigger ceiling versus bigger floor.
Yeah,
Patriots fans just used to winning, aren't they?
It's
like, how do we win?
But no, it's ceiling versus
Don't
floor.
care if we win by cheating, watching bad football as long as we win.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind. I have no problem with that. I don't think they're going to not bring Mac Jones back, but I think his leash just got a bit shorter. That's the issue. Bearing in mind, he did not play well the first couple of games in the new system, and Zapay has picked it up much, much quicker. So why wouldn't you at least give him some competition and say, right, you are under pressure? Because the last time this happened in New England, you ended up with Tom Brady playing. It's not the same. I'm just saying that is how you get there.
I mean, it's almost kind of very lazy journalism, isn't it? It's like, oh, look, we've got an unknown quarterback in New England replacing an injured
Does anyone remember the Mike White scenario for the Jets when he came in, had 1 or 2 amazing games, and then...
there's so many quarterbacks that have had that over the time, and I said it not 10 minutes ago. A couple of games, defenses don't know what that quarterback's about. It makes it easier for those quarterbacks. Defenses figure it out, and suddenly it's shut down and then become Mike White again.
Well, luckily you're playing the Bears next week, so you've got another week.
Should be fine.
Well, you would like to think so. Quickly, Kareem Hunt got a mention earlier. He is 32nd running back ranked overall by yards, and he has 2 touchdowns, tied for 18th overall. If someone was offering decent compensation for him, would you not take it?
Might do, yeah.
I'd take it.
Because we know he wants out.
We know you want out. His contract's up at the end of the year anyway.
Yeah.
He's
probably not going to sign another one.
I'd take the compensation because you know what this year's about anyway. It's a transitional year before you can get Gropey McGroperson back in.
Bills again. Bills. Kareem Hunt would be perfect. Catches the ball quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's where he established
get
himself.
Him for not that
Not
much.
that much.
Well.
What, 4th rounder?
But if you were the Chiefs, wouldn't you want him back?
Yeah.
Because
I don't know. Does that not make you look bad?
I don't know if it does. They allowed him to go because they thought the league were going to punish them, and then nothing happened, and the Browns picked him up.
Yeah, I mean, they might.
That's why.
Probably.
They thought they were doing morally the right thing, and then they got screwed out of the best running back they could have.
They could even sell it as a redemption thing anyway. But I mean, I just realised that just looking up, Ronald Jones is at Kansas City.
Yep.
I mean,
Rojo.
Like he was apparently a good rusher last year. He's had one carry this week.
Yeah, he's not in the race.
It's going down and down per game.
John, speaking of redemption stories, as you just were, Geno Smith, anyone? The Seahawks now move to 3-3 following a strong showing against the largely inept Cardinals. Cliff Clinkernuts has admitted to considering giving up play calling duties. But can this Arizona team...
I think the owner might be giving some thought to making play calling duties.
19-9 in favour of the Seahawks.
Comes with a big severance check.
You would think so.
Cliff. You've got a nice house. You've been all right.
Fuck off Cliff or fuck off a Cliff.
Exactly, yeah.
This is about as bad as it gets for the Cardinals. Like, they needed to win this game, right? This is terrible.
They had to win this game. It's the Seahawks.
They are hosting the Super Bowl. Have they remembered this? Like, I've started looking up how to make tamales and everything.
Well, I think the
Still
players
are
just...
going to host the Super Bowl.
I think
It's
the
not
players
gonna
just
be
We are
assumed
still
they
going
were
to have
watching.
tamales.
I reckon the run of teams, home teams making the Super Bowl is very, very quickly gone.
over.
At least next week they can have DeAndre Hopkins back
And
Robbie Anderson.
yeah,
and Robbie Anderson.
traded
yeah.
for Robbie Anderson after Marquise Brown got injured, who'd been their lead receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fair enough. We need to
What's
start
the
with
point? What is the
Kenneth Walker III,
Yeah.
stepping up into the vacated shoes now of Rashad Penny, who broke his tibia last week, or his ankle last week.
I broke something.
21 carries, 97 yards. That's 4.6 a carry. Had a touchdown. And basically did everything you could ask of a newly drafted running back in his first start. He had been every game behind Penny. And it was seamless transition. Geno Smith, 20 of 31, 197 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He was sacked 5 times, but effectively, he's just moving the ball steadily up and down the field, and they're finding ways to win. This is Pete Carroll's fever dream, and he's basically looking at Russell Wilson and saying, it may have been me.
He's literally kept Pete Carroll alive, I think, for a couple of extra years. Because otherwise, I think he was going to have a heart attack.
I mean, but realistically, that offense on Sunday was not good enough to beat any other team, but they just came against the Cardinals.
Barely.
And the Cardinals are shockingly bad. Their defense is terrible. Their offense is just... It's Kyler Murray and nothing else, really.
Well, he rushed for 10 carries, 100 yards. Their next best rusher was Benjamin, 15 carries for 37 yards. That is atrocious. They just can't get anything going at all.
It's bad team, badly coached, bad roster. Made a bad decision in paying Kyler Murray so much money when you can't coach him.
Is it more likely that the Seahawks make the playoffs or that the Cardinals make the playoffs? Which one of those do you think?
Seahawks are the better team.
Yeah.
You don't think that the return of D-Hop,
I don't
the
think
acquisition
so.
of Robbie Anderson makes enough of a difference?
Does he play on defense?
No, I'm just asking you, do you think the Cardinals can turn it round? They're 2-4. The Seahawks are only one game better off at 3-3. That's my point.
I think the Seahawks will regress as the season goes, but I still think they'll be ahead of the Cardinals.
Yeah, I do as well now.
I don't see anything in the Cardinals right now.
No,
I mean, I think
it's pretty poor.
It's fucking hilarious, quite frankly.
Right, all of that takes us to the break. We'll be back. Another sizable upset this weekend as heavily favoured 49ers came unstuck against the Falcons 28-14. Marcus Mariota had one of his finest NFL showings, and Arthur Smith mixed up the run game, leaving San Francisco's much vaunted D on the rocks. Where do you want to go with this one?
Mistakes.
Much injured.
Very injured too.
Mistakes. There was
Everyone's
mistakes on this.
injured. No excuses.
This
not
game
everyone's injured.
hung on a bad fumble. Yeah. Right at the start of the game, which put the Falcons 14-0 up. Always a difficult place to be
absolutely,
in. And then a bad Jimmy G, typical interception at a bad time, where he
It was bad
overthrew
at
the
the time.
pass.
Yeah, it was bad
And
at
it
the
was
time.
into bad coverage.
Such Jimmy G.
It's such a Jimmy.
I have to say, I saw Kittle get open in the end zone and actually waved to Jimmy G, and he sailed the ball so high over his head, even I was like, well, at least I've got one of the quarterbacks in this game, right? Because it was a pretty bad look for Jimmy G.
And that was the difference, really. I think 14-0 was always difficult. It's just,
Of course.
and we got it back to 14-7, and then,
We were back to 14-all at one point.
yeah.
I think this is the problem with Jimmy G is that he plays really well, and then he'll have it's one game out of 4 will just be terrible, and it'll be against a terrible team who you should be winning against. And this time it's come against the Falcons, and we've lost the game.
And the run game is not great at the moment.
The run game was pretty woeful.
Like the Juice did better, didn't he? Really, our special teams did okay. The Juice played okay.
Yeah.
But apart from that,
The weapon, isn't he?
Juice. Yeah.
Juice.
The weapon.
Juice.
I mean,
the weapon.
You can call him the Juice or the weapon.
You can call him whatever you like.
He's my friend, not your friend.
yeah, Carl's
He's
Juice.
not my friend. No,
Not-
you're absolutely right.
But let's not take anything away
Not
from
the famous Juice.
Yeah.
No, that's
Let's not take anything away from
Well, he
the
hasn't
Falcons.
killed anybody, no.
Technically, neither's OJ.
You said it, Griff.
Only in a
Mariota.
criminal court.
Shut up. Mariota had a good game. 13 for 14, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You know, the running game was on song.
He had
The
50 yards
defense-
rushing as well.
Brilliant week
Yeah.
to end my Mariota fantasy.
I also
Trial.
left him on the bench in fantasy this week.
I put in Trevor Lawrence instead of him. Yeah, it was it's just one of those weeks.
I also did the same thing.
Yeah, but it's fine. But yeah, like the Eagles, when you watch the Falcons one game, it's really well scripted.
And considering they still don't have Patterson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Interestingly, and we'll come to it towards the end of the show, but Jim was writing a piece about head coach of the year so far, and he asked for submissions. And after I pointed out Mike McCarthy had been shot down, which is fair,
Yep.
I then pointed out Arthur Smith. They're 3-3
yeah.
with the third or fourth worst squad in the league, comfortably.
yeah.
A quarterback who hasn't been a starter for 3 years.
Well, yeah, you assumed he was just a transitional quarterback.
Yeah.
He still might be, but
He might be, but he's playing as well as half the quarterbacks in the league.
Yep.
And I don't know what more you can ask out of Arthur Smith this season. Like, we know they were disappointing last year. We know they're rebuilding, but it's been impressive. I don't have any problem with what they're doing. Olamide Zacchaeus is showing up big when they need him to, and they're getting enough out of bit part players.
I'd be quite positive if I was a Falcons fan, like, because you're right. Looking at that roster and looking at what he's got to work with, they're getting results. And the Falcons they're a sensible team in the sense that they're not going to make any rash decisions. They're going to probably draft quite well.
What are they going
well
to finish?
built.
7 and 10, something like that,
Probably.
maybe.
But then it's like foundations going into next year.
they got 7 wins last year with a ropey
Worst
team.
team,
Yeah, so and in the
That
division,
division's not great, is it?
I mean, they're equal with the Bucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Saints aren't up
Saints
and down.
sound great. Panthers are destined for the top pick by
Yeah.
the looks of it.
Yeah,
Anybody at 3-3 right now is on course for the playoffs. You
That's-
may
that's-
look at them and say not, but
But the thing
Quite
is,
a lot.
that's like most of the league, isn't it?
2/3 of the league.
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
I
they're
agree.
no worse than most of the other
I
3-3 teams.
I think the league is so close this
Weird
year.
this year.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of teams that have got a piece missing somewhere, and it's really quite level between a lot of teams. And that's when it comes down to confidence, momentum, coaching.
I think, like, if we were to do a power ranking this week, it'd just be
Totally
because
different again.
It'd do just different, but also almost impossible, because there are teams at 2 and 4 that I still think are better than teams that have won 4 games, potentially like even 5 games. You know, like the Giants are a well coached unit, but they're not a good team. They're a good team with a star player.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at someone like the Saints, I think the Saints are just having a strange season.
Yeah,
know.
I'd say the Raiders, and they weren't playing this week, the Raiders squad is better than the Giants squad.
Yeah.
But the difference is they cannot coach themselves to win.
And the Ravens.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the Ravens.
Ravens
So,
are
yeah,
favourite.
you're right. It's so tight this year. But the Falcons are doing well just to be involved in that discussion. I'm disappointed. I know the Niners have got injuries again, but look at the Seahawks, look at the Rams, look at the Cardinals. It's sitting there for the Niners. It's sitting
Can he
there.
do anything other than his first plan if it doesn't work? Because, like,
He's back on this again.
well, no, I'm not saying Shanahan out yet, but, like,
Week 6, he's still in.
well, no. But has he got a plan B? Can he play simple football, or does it all have to be super complicated? Even when you don't have the players.
I think with Garoppolo, it is pretty simple football. I just don't think Garoppolo it just has a Garoppolo moment.
Yeah, he has bad games. That's the
That's what
thing.
I say. 1 in 4 will be a bad game. and it always comes against a team that we should be beating, or it comes in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He wasn't that bad in that Super
No.
Bowl. He had one bad play. Right.
I said one stupid thing. It's on me, really.
Yeah, that was all definitely.
It was your fault that Richard Sherwood remembered he's 35.
Slipped up in the NFC North. It fell kindly to the Vikings, who took on a banged-up Dolphins team, still sans Tua. Kirk and co lined up and got 3 touchdowns, which was enough, despite Miami racking up twice as many passing yards between Moore and Bridgewater.
Skylar Thompson.
Skylar Thompson, who then exited the game injured, and so Teddy had to come back in. Dolphins' run game, though, has deserted them. Are they, there you go, to what we were just talking, better or worse than their 3-3 record?
Another 3-3 team. Again, put Tua back in, and it's probably they're a good
at least 4-2. Yeah.
Bridgewater, they're probably a poor 3-3. I think that's the pivot.
Yeah, it could be. I really don't know.
Tua was playing well.
Yeah, he was.
He was playing well.
And apparently Tua he was out of concussion protocol this week, but they kept him out, didn't they? Probably just trying to save face a little bit.
Probably a little
I
bit,
think that was the best decision they could have made.
Back next week?
Yeah.
I'd have said so, yeah. I mean, they can't afford to fall further behind now. Everything's so tight. This was 24-16, by the way, for the Vikings. I called it. I don't get many things right. I did say they would win this division. I mean, they are comfortably the best team in this division right now. The Bears and the Lions aren't at the races. And the Packers, the Vikings are twice the team the Packers are right now. They just do. Dalvin Cook's playing really well.
But yeah, they're definitely the better team.
They've got the best receiver. They've got the best running back. Right now, they've got the best quarterback out of the two teams. Right now. Kirk Cousins out playing Rodgers all day.
Disagree with you.
And they've got the best defense out of the two right now.
Kirk Cousins is like a slightly better Jimmy G.
Yeah.
He doesn't do much wrong. He does less wrong than Jimmy G.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything much more special. I think he throws a better deep ball. I think he is more accurate, but he's not much more mobile or anything.
No,
But apart from, prime time, he makes less mistakes. It's a problem for the playoffs.
Well, it's not ideal.
It's a fair point, is it? At least Jimmy G actually turns up for prime time. Because
Yeah.
often he wins in prime time and he does very well in the playoffs.
But, we've said it for years. Kirk Cousins has good stats. Kirk Cousins, Carr,
Doesn't throw many
all these.
interceptions,
They don't throw many interceptions.
No.
And they control games. They manage games very well. You put enough pieces around him. Adam Thielen, he doesn't get as much volume as he used to. But red zone, how many teams struggle in the red zone? And Thielen just delivers, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think they've got some really good options. Dalvin Cook, they're set. They are set, the Vikings.
Yeah, I think Irv Smith Jr. showing up as well in the red zone has really helped them out. He's been quiet in the past and he's played well this year.
But the freshness of a new coach there, that's what they needed.
That is exactly what I was getting at. I said this before the season started. It just gone 2 years too far with Zimmer. And I think Kirk feels wanted and embraced by this. And it's really working for them.
Do you think the choice was last year, Zimmer or Cousins, and they went, do you know what, we're going to go Cousins?
I don't know
upstairs.
if it was.
No, I don't
Because they weren't getting on well, were they?
I think it was
But he wasn't.
Zimmer out.
He just didn't like offense.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't like any offense. Like, the amount of offensive coordinators he went through was just unbelievable. It's like he couldn't settle on one because he didn't care about the offense from all the reports. So now they've got a coach who does care about the offense, isn't neglecting the other side of the ball either. And surprise, surprise, a squad of good players with good coaching does well.
The Minnesota team punted 10 times for 441 yards. I'm surprised the punter's leg didn't fall off. That's a hell of a lot of punting. But
A lot of punting.
yes, it is. But it's because the Dolphins and the Vikings were both going 3 and out a lot. So
Both of them have got good defenses. Like, the Dolphins is underrated because not underrated, but there's so much plaudits put on the offense and so much focus with Tua's injury and then Teddy's injury put on the offense that everyone forgets that the defense is still pretty good. They've still got good cornerbacks. They've improved the defensive line, and the linebackers are getting more experience and getting better.
yeah, they need more out of the running game. The Dolphins. I think they've got 2 rushing touchdowns this season. Maybe Raheem Mostert's got 1. They're just struggling. And without, like we were saying, with the Bills, the Chiefs, if you can upgrade, if you get Cam Akers on the Dolphins, that's an upgrade.
Yes.
Or Kareem Hunt on the Dolphins, that's an upgrade. And this is exactly what they're going to need. Because, as you said, the Patriots and the Jets are now both proving to be perhaps better than they looked earlier in the season. And the Dolphins are suddenly fighting when 3 games back, we thought they were nailed on for the playoffs.
Yeah. They're going to take, in that division, they're going to start taking games. Those 3 teams are going to take games to each other. And like I say, the Bills are probably streaks ahead. But they lost to the Dolphins.
Don't worry then. In an upside-down 2022, some sanity prevailed. The Jags failing to win despite being 1-up with less than 3 minutes to go. The Colts are starting to gel, and thanks to an opening day tie, they actually sit ahead of the 500 teams at 3-2-1.
Yeah, the Colts are 3-2-1.
Yeah.
They're still rubbish.
All of a sudden,
They're still crap.
They're
one of the worst
27-34.
teams.
Matt Ryan.
They're playing in crap division.
Matt Ryan wasn't sacked, and unhindered, he is still a more than capable quarterback.
Yeah, they can protect him in the pocket.
He dropped back 58 times.
Yeah, Pittman turned up, didn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, but it's easy to turn up when your quarterback's not laying on his arse.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
that's the difference here.
Then
The
that
O-line
allows you to
played
get Taylor
okay.
to do more.
Yeah.
O-line played really well, not just okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't. This is a good. Again, the pass rush on that Jags team is decent. That's a good performance from the Colts O-line finally, because they've come under a lot of flack, having one of the best offensive linemen.
Justifiable
Yeah,
slack, but yeah.
But yeah, they've turned up in this game, and yeah, like you say, you keep Matt Ryan upright. He's got what now, the 7th most passing yards. He just overtook Dan Marino. Yeah, he's a good quarterback. Shock.
Yeah, it's
suddenly the receivers look good.
And the Jags still look better than last year, don't they? They're in games.
Yeah, Lawrence had a good game.
Yeah, Lawrence is playing. Look, he had a bad game against the Eagles, but as we said earlier, plenty of quarterbacks going to have bad games against the Eagles. They're taking a step forward. Pedersen will be disappointed that they've not got another win.
Yep.
But at least they look competitive. They're not the joke every week.
Oh,
yeah.
And this is what's key for them. It's small steps, be competitive. The Colts are in the playoff hunt here because of the division.
Yep.
They really are.
Yeah, no, it's if they get there, they might be the worst team to get to the playoffs since the Seahawks got their with a losing record. But
the Commanders got their losing record.
They did. Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah,
but yeah,
you can only play what is in front of you, and if what is in front of you isn't good enough,
you just never know what happens in the playoffs as well. None of us predicted the Bengals were going to get to the Super Bowl.
So here's the thing: the Colts will be playing their 5th division game next week as they take on the Titans. If they can beat the Titans, they are set.
Yeah,
they are set in this division to go ahead and finish top. Don't forget last year the Titans were the top AFC seed. So it's quite a big thing. If Frank Reich has managed to turn this around and the O-line is good enough to keep Matt Ryan upright, he is the best quarterback in that division if he's well protected.
Yeah.
He is then the best quarterback.
That's why they signed him, isn't it?
Yeah. If the O-line is porous, he's the worst quarterback in that division. That's all you've learned. Because he can't move. It would be the same. Well, we're seeing it a bit with Brady not playing behind the same O-line. He's not the same player.
See with Stafford as well.
Yeah, and Stafford, exactly. And we have seen it with people like Herbert and Burrow. When the teams are struggling with the O-line, they don't look as good. They can't all be Mahomes and Allen. It's just not the way it works. But yeah, I mean, I'm pleased for them, but it does show you the value of that tie, which none of us liked, but it does show you the value of the tie. Right, Steve Wilkes' first game as interim head coach of the Panthers saw them come up against the struggling reigning champs, the Rams. This wasn't a good showing by either team considering their aspirations, if you can say the Panthers have aspirations, but the Rams eased a 24-10 win thanks largely to the Carolina ineffectiveness. Robbie Anderson, as we mentioned earlier, traded to the Cardinals post-game, mainly because he got kicked out of the game for shouting at, is it Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator?
No. It's not Joe Brady. It was the wide receiver coach.
Sorry.
His name. Joe Brady left last year, didn't he?
Right, okay, well. Anyway, shouting at the coach on the sideline, not a good look.
They've been trying to trade him ever since they fired Rule.
He was a Rule guy, wasn't he?
He was a Rule guy. I guess, I don't know what they've got for him because they've
confirmed it.
They've not announced.
So I reckon it's a conditional. It's a conditional 7th round pick.
I mean, as well, he was on big money, so it's actually half decent that I think they'll have to pay for.
I think with
his season's
with Rule being sacked, we're hearing trade rumours of a number of their players, Christian McCaffrey included. It's like this. I mean, this is a team that needs to go into rebuilding, and if they can get more draft picks, it's more lottery tickets.
Do you trust them?
No. As ever, though, it was McCaffrey or bust. 13 carries for 69 yards and 7 receptions for 89 yards.
Nice.
And that's it. PJ Walker, 10 of 16 for 60 yards passing. Jacob Eason, 3 of 5 for 59.
He got destroyed, didn't he? Like PJ Walker got absolutely destroyed.
He was only sacked twice, but yeah, there were hits and he didn't look ready. Well, he did not look ready.
PJ Walker,
the second one of those sacks,
he got battered.
I thought he actually disappeared.
Yeah, it wasn't a great performance by anybody on the Panthers team.
I mean, the Rams have got a bye next week, I believe. I think that's come at just the right time. They're going to a bye 3-3, playing really bad football compared to where they were. Give them a week off, a rest, reset, maybe bring in another player, maybe
Robinson started catching the ball.
Robinson got a touchdown.
That's the only positive thing.
Yeah.
You know.
So, I mean, the Rams aren't playing well, but they've lost Joe Noteboom as well, the right tackle.
Yeah, right tackle's gone.
Was pretty bad, but at least it was a right tackle.
What do we think about having Henderson as your only running back of note?
They played somebody else, didn't they? They played Brown, was it?
Malcolm
Brown. Yeah, he's been the fullback, the backup running back for years, but he's not. There's no explosiveness from Malcolm.
Well, they've got Ronnie Rivers.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. He's a rookie.
It sounds like he was in a band in the 60s.
He's a
Ron
rookie.
Rivera's secret love child.
He's a rookie out of Fresno
Ronnie
State.
Rivers in the LA Rams.
Yeah. He had one carry for no yards.
Well,
I saw about what he Scott's.
does that.
Yeah, I think that as well.
I mean, they've got Ben Skoranek, who
doing everything. Isn't he?
seems to be. Got a touchdown on his 17-yard
like a mini Debo.
Yeah.
Maybe Taysom Hill.
But I mean,
I get the feeling the Rams can only get better. I don't think it gets worse. And if they get better at the right time, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, no one in that division is walking away. So they could be cruising.
They're just going to make a trade for someone. It's going to completely turn around in the season, and that'll be that. That's what I think is going to happen. Might be wrong, but that's what
That's your prediction, yeah.
I'm going to suggest week 8 they get thrashed by the 49ers again, and we're having the same conversation again. Can't this must be the nadir, and I think the season is just a permanent nadir.
Look at you using words like nadir.
Yeah,
I
look at this. They've just shit the bed.
You learned it on Wordle or something.
Yeah, I suspect so. So regarding the Panthers trading CMC, where's he going?
Don't know.
Don't care.
Who wants to take the risk on him?
Rams.
But Rams haven't got any draft capital to play with.
Wow,
they'll figure. I mean, they could figure something out.
Probably throw Sean McVay in a year's time.
No. So I heard there were 4 teams that were interested. Rams were one, Bills, 49ers were another, and I think it might be in the Chiefs, might be in the 4th one.
So with one of these pieces moves, it starts a running back merry-go-round, we think?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, what they're asking for I've heard multiple first-round picks, which is just
that's
ridiculous. I think for a running back, you've got to be something else to get a first-round pick for him. And I think with Christian McCaffrey, with his injury history, anything you trade for him there's got to be a conditional element. So when Carson Wentz went to the Colts, that first-round pick was conditional on him playing 75% of the snaps. I think something like that would need to happen for McCaffrey, for anyone to. Well, for the Panthers to get a first-round pick from McCaffrey, even a second-round pick, I'd say.
And what's going to cheapen him as well is the fact that at the end of the year, you've got Saquon, you've got Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, a low like Melvin Gordon, is whatever. You've got some guys who've been number one.
Did you say Jacobs?
Yeah. No, these guys are going to be available for nothing.
Yeah.
Why would you pay 2 first-round picks for some asbestos knees?
Yeah,
it's a fair point. The Panthers host the Bucks on Sunday. Any chance the Panthers knock the Bucks off here? Any chance? Give me a reason to believe that they can do something.
Bucks defense is too good. The Panthers don't do enough.
Yeah,
the Bucks won't need to score many points to beat them.
The Bucks. We used to. Like, what would you say about the Steelers? They play down, and I think the Bucks they are kind of playing down.
If you look at it, the best offensive player in that game will be CMC by quite a distance. If he gets
is Baker back?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's PJ Walker again.
Yeah,
there's very little chance.
The Bucks have still got a really good Russian defense as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's difficult to rush against them. And I know CMC does things outside of the traditional rushing, but you still need him to
I'm
be able
just
to do
looking
that.
for hope for a team at 1-5.
The only thing I can possibly think of is maybe their defence can get to Brady.
Really? Brian Burns?
Brian Burns, I think, is a decent player.
Yeah, but who is what I was getting at. It's Brian Burns.
You two gross tomatoes.
Bless you. Right, the Andy Dalton revenge game, sort of. The Saints quarterback faced his former team and kept it close into the fourth quarter before the more talented Bengals, led by the imperious Joe Burrow, pulled away to win by 4. Will we see Jameis Winston recalled to provide more spark? This one was 30-26.
No.
Or is Andy Dalton doing enough then, just managing the game?
Andy Dalton with sprinkling of Taysom Hill is working. They're not turning the ball over.
True. They're not winning.
But it's not working that well. Is that what you're trying to say, Griff?
Well, I'm saying I think it's different, but not better.
I think this Saints defense has been a disappointment this year.
Yep.
It was heralded as the best defense in the league, and it hasn't been that great at all.
Yeah.
You seem to be able to do everything to it. Run on it, throw on it. Yeah.
They were
It's
missing.
really
I think they were missing Lattimore.
They were second half of the game at least, but it was still disappointing. I think they need to sort that side of the game. Michael Thomas is also. Is he planning on?
Well, they were missing
I know
Thomas,
he's missing.
Olave, Landry. They're all
is he
injured
ever
this week.
planning on playing football again?
I expect so. Yeah, he played a couple of games. He played well.
He's been
He
all right
scored
this
2
season.
touchdowns in his first game.
And then took another month off.
Yeah. I mean, it's so bad they were playing Kevin White.
Yeah.
Who had 1 target for catches.
But
Very Kevin White set line.
The dude
could
who
say
scored their
that.
touchdown though was rapid. Who was that?
Raekwon Smith.
No,
Yeah.
no. There was a wide receiver who scored.
That's the only wide receiver.
No, it was someone else. Shaquille, someone else.
Nope.
I'm going to go with.
Or was it the running back?
Was he the running back?
The running
He was
back.
super quick.
It's his first
They
start.
had 1 receiving touchdown.
They bought him-
Maybe he ran in then. He was super quick though.
It's the running back. They brought him in from the practice squad.
Rashid Shaheed.
There you go. I was close. What did I say?
Shaquille something. Brilliant.
One carry for 44 yards.
Sounds like Rashid Shaheed. Yeah, absolutely.
And however bad it is, they were still only. There's still effectively some missed tackles away from winning this game because that's what it was. It was a Jamar Chase 55-yard touchdown through some missed tackles.
It was incredible.
Brilliant.
How you don't bring him down?
But
There was a lot of missed tackles.
Yeah,
that's what the
Dalton
difference.
is 1 and 2 as a starter this season, and Jameis is the same, 1 and 2. So, do you go game managing or do you go boom or bust? What do you think? Because I don't think there's much choose between two of them, but they're completely different
I
players.
think you're going to win more games with Dalton.
I think, especially this week against the Cardinals coming up, I say you stick with Dalton.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
Whoever's got the jersey,
God.
you've yours to lose.
I'm surprised you agree. You're like on the Fitzpatrick train.
Now I love
Winston
and-
Fitzpatrick.
Winston, you're asking me who do I want to watch? I want to watch Jameis Winston. You're asking me who do I stick with if I'm coaching the team to win? I'm sticking with Andy Dalton. What I really want to see is Taysom Hill because it's in my fantasy team at tight end. Same. But no, if you want to win games, I think you stick with Andy Dalton. I think he is, and we talk about this a lot, but he's underrated, sneaky, one of the best backups in the league because he could still be starting for 2 or 3 teams as he's now proving.
Yep.
Whereas Jameis, it's boom or bust, and I don't think it matters what you plan and what you coach him. He's just going to play as Jameis.
Just go for
Why
6.
don't play it situationally? If you've got the Cardinals, you don't need to go boom or bust.
No.
You need to just throw it 8 yards.
Don't give the ball away.
Don't give the ball away.
If you fall more than 2 touchdowns behind, you wheel out Jameis.
I think that's a fair point because apart from the pick sixes and all the interceptions, they're not 2 different dissimilar quarterbacks.
No.
It's not like you've got one running quarterback and one passing.
No, they're both passing.
You can have this. You can have a similar game plan for both.
I think having Michael Thomas in the team, Thomas benefits from having Jameis Winston.
I think having any one of your top 3 receivers in the team is going to help.
But the week after, the Raiders, in that you might want to be a bit more explosive against. They've got a better rush defense, but you can throw over them. That's when you might think, well, actually, this is a Winston game. I mean,
It's true.
They're both paid peanuts. Why not?
All right. We're coming towards poor part, the dodgy end of the podcast.
This will be quick.
Monday Night Football saw the Broncos in prime time again, and once again they failed to deliver. Going down in overtime against a clanky Chargers team, 19-16, thanks to a Dustin Hopkins field goal. What's going on with the Broncos, and how is Hackett getting it so wrong?
Don't get it.
That's not analysis. Tell me.
But Russell Wilson isn't that bad, is he?
Is he not?
Well,
I mean, he is.
I made the claim that he might be busted. I don't know.
It can't.
He was bad last year.
He wasn't great last year.
Yeah.
He was bad.
Age has certainly caught up with him a bit. I think he's
was
better
running
than
Age,
He was
he's only
running a
like
bit
33.
Yeah, but
He
He spent a few
about
years getting
the
really
hits he's
hit.
taken.
Yeah.
And he had a bad injury in the last year.
I know they're not the same, but think how quickly Cam dropped off a cliff.
Yeah.
And it looks like Russell's going the same way. Now,
He's just got himself paid, didn't he?
That said, I also think Hackett is doing a terrible job of adjusting to the game situation, the quarterback situation, and everything else. It's like the complete opposite to what Daboll and Kevin O'Connell are managing with their teams. He's got no one united on his front.
It's still all right. Even if Russell Wilson is only 50% of the Russell Wilson we've seen at the Seahawks, this is still a good roster.
Of course it is.
It's not.
The defense is keeping him in games.
Yeah, defensive. You've kept the Chargers, who are a good offensive
Javonte
team.
Williams isn't there.
Well, they didn't even have Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon wants to trade.
Well, he didn't
Gordon
play.
wants out.
That's what I mean. He wants out.
Well, he got
so is
benched,
it a great roster?
I think it's not a great. I don't say it's a great roster. It's a good roster. It is a good roster.
Who on the offense really excites you? Cortland Sutton.
Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, both
Judy
exciting.
done much this year?
Oh no, but the offense.
Quarterback. The offense hasn't done much this year. It's a good offensive line as well.
But my point is,
Well, what injuries, isn't it? They've lost
I
their
don't-
tackle.
Everyone's got injuries.
I
John.
But it's not an excuse. But yeah,
I don't go searching for Broncos players when it comes to fantasy football.
No.
So they can't be that great. No, but they can't be, can they?
No, but in all due respect, that's bullshit because we never had Patriots players on our fantasy teams, and the Patriots won a shit ton of Super Bowls.
Fair
Because of
point.
their defense. Yeah, because of
Fair
their
point.
defense, though.
And the Broncos,
But the Broncos defense
they've
is
got
really
one of the
good.
best cornerbacks in the league. in Patrick
I don't
Surtain.
think they need to be star-studded. I think they need more out of Russell Wilson to uplift
If
the
you put
other
if
players.
you put Brian Dable onto the
Yeah, but we talk about defense. But then a lot of people said you need to just plug a quarterback into this team.
Which
Yeah,
we
so
thought
that's
they
nothing
did.
to do with the
Which we thought
defense.
we
but
did.
they all needed to get the head coach right.
There's
And
nothing to do with the defense, is it?
They have botched
Now,
it.
I
The
said
offense is still poor.
I've said in the past, and some of this has been proved wrong, but certainly when we had Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer at the same place, I said that won't work. You can't have a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. Well, you've now got a rookie head coach and a quarterback playing in a new system in a new city that he doesn't know with any of the players, and it's the same thing. It's not working.
Worked in Green Bay.
But if you-
It's worked for some people,
I say,
but it's not guaranteed.
If they had hired Brian Dable rather than Nathaniel Hackett, and Dable had done similar things he'd done the Giants as in Denver, I think that's a better team. I do think he's on the coaching. Yeah, maybe Russell Wilson has dropped off from what he once was. But I don't think it's that the drop off can't be.
I'm not
that
allowed to call
bad.
him busted. Yeah.
No,
I
he's
don't
not
think
busted.
No.
Here's a little fact.
He's still
just
he's
to-
going to be he's still going to be a potential Hall of Famer.
He will be.
Yeah,
But-
but where is he though? Top 10? You're not going
No,
to say he's a
at the
top
moment.
10.
Well, no,
God,
if you
barely
read my
top
power
20.
ranking, he's 24th.
He's been a
and that
top
is
10
only because there's some
dross
new,
out there.
there's some new quarterbacks basically.
He's been a top 10 quarterback every year until last year when he struggled to crack the top 10, and everyone just assumed moving was going to help him. And actually, it's not necessarily the right move, but they will not ditch him. It will be Hackett that goes.
Can't ditch them. They've invested too
It's
much.
not guaranteed money.
Here's a fact then for you, just to make this game sound more interesting, then we'll move on. Russell Wilson's first 9 completions were to 9 different players, and that apparently is a first since play-by-play data was recorded in 1991. That's some random stat somebody's got from somewhere. I like that.
I watched this game last night because I couldn't sleep,
Did this help?
and this helped.
Hey, you
but
only saw 10 minutes.
but Maurice Jones-Drew was the commentator, and he at the point I think at half time he was 10 for 10.
Yeah.
And you look at that, and we go, oh, this guy was 10 for 10, and MJD just went, Hackett don't trust him.
No.
You can look at it.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust him. He does not.
He's thrown it a maximum of 8 yards.
Yeah. And but the whole on the other side, Herbert, 4 yards of throw. It was an absolutely anemic game.
I don't.
And I can't wait to have my full 6 hours tonight.
So I sent you guys this on Twitter today. There's both Nathaniel Hackett and Sean Payton were trending at one point. And I thought, let's Hackett out and Payton in, because previously Wilson had been connected to going to the Saints. I thought that was a connection. Turns out Payton was actually in the stand watching the game. How do you feel about Payton with Justin Herbert?
Oh, I'd love that.
I would take Payton with either one of these teams.
Yeah,
they would
I
both
think as well. But the fact that he's
Payton with Justin Herbert would be nigh on unstoppable.
Yeah.
I think Brendan Staley. I think he's got a really high rep for someone
he's joint top of the AFC West.
I know, but this is a 4-2 team which doesn't deserve to be 4-2.
Coaches don't go when they're 4-2.
If he wins a playoff game, he's safe.
Who was the Titans coach that got sacked after getting into the playoffs? Mike Malarkey.
Mike Malarkey. Did they get into the playoffs that year? Did they?
Yeah, they got into the playoffs, lost, and he got sacked. It happens.
He needs to win a playoff game this year.
He needs to win. He needs to get into the playoffs first. But I don't know.
This
with all that talent on the Chargers team,
They have got a lot of injuries.
Everyone's got injuries. Quickly then, the Broncos host the Jets this week. Who wins?
Jets.
Yeah, the Jets. Oh dear. Dear.
They have.
Now the Broncos are going to win, but
the Chargers do have injuries, but they're getting Keenan Allen back.
Yeah,
they've still got Mike Williams, and they only threw it 4 times to him because Patrick Surtain is a fucking beast.
Yeah.
Eckler got like 16 receptions.
Eckler's disappeared a bit this year.
Eckler's gone up.
He had 10 receptions and 47 yards.
From 16 and
14 rushing attempts, 36 yards.
So he's not running the ball, is he?
No, but he won me my fantasy game last week with 35 points, so he's doing all right. You know, if we're not going to pick Broncos teams for fantasy,
now a good time to point out that I beat Jim in fantasy and won in both leagues for the first time this season. Just saying.
Not just this season.
Ever, quite possibly. Yeah, I don't know.
Well done. I won all 4 of my games this week.
I mean, I don't really care, but I just enjoyed it because it came up flashing with stuff saying you've beaten Jim, and I was like, oh, okay. Right, and finally, Commanders 12, Bears 7, barely worth discussing. What a shit game this was.
Wentz is
Thursday Night Football. Wentz is out for 4 to 6 weeks. Tyler Heineke to start for the Commanders. And when he gets injured, it'll be Sam Howell. And when he gets injured, it's Ryan Fitzmagic coming back. And so on and so on.
Can I just say Kaepernick?
You can.
Why not?
Have we got a horn for that
Can you
anymore?
see Dan Snyder?
John doesn't know which button it is.
I can't remember what the button is, so apologies.
Brilliant. That's terrible.
Dan Snyder.
There was an alarm, wasn't there?
There was an alarm for mentioning that unmentionable name.
I couldn't resist.
The Bears are the worst 2-4 team in football by a mile. They don't deserve any wins this season.
Justin Fields is destroyed. They've ruined him.
It's over for Justin Fields. The whole thing is crazy. Wentz was 12 of 22 for 99 yards. And bear in mind, they won the game. Justin Fields, 14 of 27 for 190 yards. These should not be stats recorded in the modern NFL.
This should not be How did anyone think this should be a primetime game? Going into the season, going into last season, would anyone actually ever think that the Commanders at the Bears is a primetime game?
No.
I imagine it was like an 80-year-old bloke picking this and going,
1980s football.
I remember Washington and Chicago were great
Joe
teams.
Gibbs and Mike Dichter up against each other.
Exactly, It's
why the American scheduling people have now turned into old British guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah,
but
it's a fair point.
Jeff Bezos is fucking fuming.
I mean, what's the returns policy have?
Anyone remember that Dante Pettis is still a professional footballer because he led the
he was a Giants last year.
Yeah, 84 yards or 4 receptions. I can't find anything else interesting to talk about.
Let's move on.
Moving on, right. So, Jim wrote an article for the website regarding...
I haven't yet.
Well, he is writing, an article for Head Coaching of the Year early candidates. Discuss. I would like to think, I already mentioned Arthur Smith gets a shout from me. There are several other obvious ones.
Dayball is one for me.
Dayball is got to be top, and Kevin O'Connell for me is a close second.
Yeah, actually, I didn't put Kevin O'Connell on my shortlist, but that's a good second. I had
Salah.
I had Dayball, Mike McDaniel, Nick Sirianni, and Sean McDermott as my 4.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I can't argue with any of those specifically.
I'll argue with McDaniel. I think
I want to see a bit more out of them.
I want to see a bit more. And as well, it was so fucking obvious to take Tua out that game. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're right there.
I think everyone is culpable, and as well, it's probably cost him 2 games. Because,
definitely.
They should be probably 5-1. They are much better than a 3-3. But
so was I the only one who provided any love for Mike McCarthy winning 4 games without Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Because he was one of the favourites to be sacked this season, and they are doing fine.
Pure luck.
Can we have defensive coordinator of the year for the Cowboys? Because that's what would be.
That's a fair point. It's Dan Quinn that's winning those games.
All right.
It's not Mike McCarthy.
Matt Rule aside, who's the worst coach this season? Matt Rule's already been fired. That was not a good.
Eberflus?
Hang on. Clinkernuts?
Clinkernuts. It's got to be Clinkernuts.
Yeah.
It's got to be Clinkernuts. Eberflus is too new.
Still shit.
He's not doing a good job.
I would also say Dan Campbell.
I don't know about Dan Campbell. I'd say it's
love Dan. They're doing
Clinkernuts.
shit, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
they
are.
are.
I
You can go like, oh yeah, he beats his chest. I love him. But he's they're shit, aren't they?
Clinkernuts and Hackett for me.
Hackett is
It's
really
not
bad.
good.
I mean, I still
want to see anything out of Josh McDaniel.
Yeah, that's about to say.
I do not understand it. I know the verbiage for the play calling for them is very difficult, but show me something, and I don't see it. He's going to be one of those should have stuck as being a coordinator. You get another 2 years, he'll be back at the Patriots.
Yeah.
Are we going to let the Lions just keep losing games without discussing it though?
Well, they didn't play this week, so
I know,
we're not going to discuss it.
I know,
They didn't lose this week.
I get that. I haven't been there. But
Well, you know, because I know Paul was gutted to miss this week because of the Jets' resurgence, as well as Jelani Woods' touchdown again. If Paul misses a week, it's after Jelani Woods' touchdowns. He's gutted.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
He's too exhausted.
But yeah.
Anyone else you want to mention for head coach of the year before we move on?
No. We talk about Arthur Smith. Though.
Sweetest play of the week. Nominations, please.
I'm going to go with Thibodeau's forced fumble.
I like that. I always like a defensive option. I'm going offense this time. I'm going for Josh Allen's hurdle over that Chiefs player and his little run to get the first down.
Yeah, that was good.
Love seeing a hurdle. And when it's for 6'4" quarterbacks, even better.
Money Badger's kick for the Chargers on a basically broken leg or whatever it is. Basically, like every time he kicked, he ended up with a heap on the floor.
It was Hopkins, wasn't it? Not Moneyback.
Yeah, sorry, Hopkins. Yeah, I just remember back. But it's so not Chargers. That a Charger kick to win the game just feels so anti-Chargers.
Well, seeing as there's 4 of us, we don't want to be going around all evening. I'm going to take Kayvon Thibodeau. I think that was absolutely crucial.
Wow. A Giants double.
Yeah.
Two in a week. Two in 2 weeks.
It's the only thing that really delivered a winning game.
It was the game-sealing performance. I thought it was excellent. That is the sweetest play of the week, brought to you by Toot Sweet.
TootSweets.shop.
And the boys have actually got some sweets.
We do, because Gary's turned up with them this week, so that's nice.
You miss out, Paul.
Yeah, sorry, Paul, not here. What can you do? Any other news you want to get to?
Daniel Snyder.
Go on.
Yeah, I know what this is.
Yeah. So obviously we know Daniel Snyder is in a world of shit in terms of like all the accusations and legal proceedings, and we know that there's actually an owners meeting happening now, and there's been rumours that owners are pissed off with him and they want to get out. So it came out last week that Daniel Snyder has apparently hired investigators to dig up dirt on Roger Goodell and some other NFL owners, presumably Jerry Jones. This guy's got to work with the 31 other owners. Like, don't shit on your own doorstep. That's what Daniel Snyder is doing, because that's Daniel Snyder, and he's a cunt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it will be funny when he does dig up some
Oh,
dirt.
because there's going to be something.
There's going to be
We
loads.
all know there's going to be something.
Well, I think that's his point. Is
Yeah.
like, will they let him carry on, or like what's going to happen? But I mean, we all know. We all know.
Attack's the best
Rich
form of
white
defence,
guys.
isn't it?
Rich white guys all getting up to bad shit. Was it Jim Irsay who just kept getting done for drink driving years ago for the Colts? It was.
Yeah.
It's just like every other month he was getting done.
Did you see Robert Kraft's new wife?
Yeah.
He's 81 and he's married a
Is he?
47-year-old
47-year-old.
doctor.
Yeah.
Who is
Not been fun.
rather attractive.
She nice looking.
I'm
Nice
sure
looking
he'd
girl. Look
go
that
on.
one up. No, it was just an ESPN headline. Ursay believes there's merit to removing Daniel Snyder as owner. So
Yeah, no shit.
speaking, Joe.
Wasn't mentioned, but after Tua, Cameron Brait had a looked really bad incident. It was his second concussion in a matter of weeks. He left on a fit, but I think he's fine now. But of course, I wouldn't expect to see him playing anytime soon because, we've seen a few players getting second concussions in a short amount of time. And,
It's an interesting one because when you watch a lot of the way these concussions happen, it's when they get kind of thrown into the ground, isn't it?
the
And
whiplash.
whiplash. with
Yeah.
the helmet.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what they do around kind of tackle technique because
But this is part of the problem. You can't tackle high now,
No.
so you tackle low, but you get the whip effect.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Here's some news that's just come through. Deshaun Jackson signing with the Ravens.
Oh, is he signing? I know he's
Ooh.
visiting,
Signing
yeah.
with the Ravens as we speak.
that might be just what
Well,
Lamar
maybe
needs.
he's 35. This will be his 14th.
He's still
year.
he'll still be quick.
He'll have
Yeah.
270 yards
Yeah.
games, and then
Couple
the
of
rest of the
touchdowns.
time he'll still go for about
Yeah.
20 yards.
Yeah, why not?
But they don't have loads at wide receiver at the Ravens.
Russell Wilson currently considered day to day with a hamstring injury. Who's the backup at the Broncos? Trevor Siemian?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it is
Is it
Trevor
not?
Siemian.
Where's Case Keenum these days?
Oh, it might
Bills.
be. He's at the Bills.
Bills, yeah.
Bills.
But yeah, I think it is Trevor Siemian. It's bleak, whatever it is.
Is it more bleak than they've already got? I mean, can
Yeah.
you tell me that it definitely is? I'm not sure.
I'm just looking it up.
Someone fill in for.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it is Trevor Siemian, I'd let him have a go and just see if they're any better or worse with him. Because he was never the worst quarterback going. He was at
Oh,
the Saints.
it's not.
Go on.
Brett Rippon.
Yeah.
Oh, Brett Rippon.
Okay.
Okay,
I
well,
always want to say Stuart Ripley, but he was a former Blackburn
Yeah.
footballer.
okay.
He's now a solicitor.
In that case, if it's Brett Rippon, I'd stick with one-legged Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but Latavius Murray came in for the game, didn't he?
Yes, he
And,
did, and actually played all right.
plays
Mainly
all right.
because they benched Melvin Gordon for being rubbish, I think.
Yeah, he didn't have his helmet on, did he?
Imagine if you picked up Melvin Gordon in fantasy and he scored 0.8 of a point.
That would. And you still won?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jim.
No, different. That was the other game.
Okay.
I don't know who that was. I have no idea.
Oh, fair enough.
Right.
But yeah, no.
Thank you very much for listening. We're out for another week. We'll be back for the Week 7 review, and we may try for a full house. We may all be here. Or not. Who knows? Bye-bye.